All right, everybody, welcome to BO Boys for Thursday, November 7th. Fuck it, it's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat. Clayton, we have a huge weekend coming up with this is one of those weekends of quantity. Is it a weekend of quality? We'll go through that, but a lot of wide releases coming out this weekend. But before we get into them, Clayton, I think we have to talk about what I think is the biggest story in America right now. The
Mm-hmm.
thing that it should be the biggest story in America.
Mm-hmm.
It's the thing people are not talking about. And the fact that they're not talking about it is the story. Um,
Yes. The
and,
story is
and
the lack of it being a story.
yes, this is one of those occasions where normally a big story is a big story. This
Mm-hmm.
one is the fact that it's not a big story makes it an even bigger story.
Mm-hmm.
And let's tell that story right now. Here's the story is that last night or 2 nights ago, by the time you hear this Tuesday night, America was focusing on other things, looking at something else. And this was a something else that people knew was coming. And Dwayne The Rock Johnson knew that this is coming. He knew that America would be distracted
Mm-hmm.
this past Tuesday night. And so that is when and this is all him, we know
Yeah.
that he is
Yeah.
the auteur of his films.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when Dwayne The Rock Johnson lifted the embargo for reviews on his upcoming multi platform Christmas product, Red One. He had those reviews drop on this past Tuesday night. And Clayton, that is the story. I
Yeah.
mean, is there any doubt to you that this was a coordinated effort by The Rock to have the Red One reviews come out when America would be, as he knew, would be otherwise occupied?
Of course not. It was strategic. He
Mm-hmm.
dropped these as strategically and with as much purpose as he drops a hot Voss bottle full of piss into a PA's hand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This is one of those things that why I mean, he knows we exist because he's currently in litigation with us. Like he knows we exist.
Yeah,
So
to be
why
able
would
to
he
do it, he
think he
knows.
could get away with this?
Right.
Why did he think that this wouldn't be a bigger story than if he would have just waited?
Right.
Like
Right.
that's the thing that if he's so strategic, then he would have just normally done this when people weren't distracted because
Mm-hmm.
then it wouldn't have been a story at all. But now the fact that it wasn't a story is the story,
Right.
and the fact that we're going to talk about it and never let him forget it,
Mm-hmm.
we're exposing the fact that this shows so little confidence in the product. I
Right.
mean, this
Right.
is him admitting that he has a bad movie. This is
Yes.
all you need to know. Like the theaters, I would never dissuade people from going to the theater,
Yes.
especially now of all times. Go worship at the church of your choosing.
Yeah.
Ours happens to be AMC's
Yes.
mostly because we're A-list members.
We're A-list, but also if sometimes if there's not an AMC, we'll worship at a Regal. I of course worship at a Nighthawk, but we
Yeah,
a
Angelica.
multiplex or a one
Yes,
screener if that happens to be where we are, but it's mostly a multiplex. Yeah.
but it's not the same at home. It's just not. You can't. It's not. It doesn't count as worship if it's at home. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, everyone.
Sorry.
But so he like this is all the proof you need
Mm-hmm.
that this movie is not worth your time.
Yes.
So I wouldn't
Yes.
say don't go to the theater. I would say go see something else because if your thought is I want to see Red One, you know whether or not you should see Red One or not.
Yeah.
Because the fact that this was dropped at the time it was dropped says this is a man who made Rampage. This is a
Mm-hmm.
man who made uh the what was the
Skyscraper. He made
skyscraper?
Skyscraper.
You knew
The
exactly
Rock
where I was
made
going,
Skyscraper. Yes, of course.
and he didn't do that for those films.
Yep.
This is so bad, so much worse than those.
Yeah.
So much worse than those that
And The
he
Rock
did
knew it.
this, and he knew it.
He knew
And
it the
he
whole
knew
time.
it.
He knew it, and he had no faith in Red One. No faith that anyone was going to give positive reviews to Red One. And this was a coordinated effort by Dwayne The Rock Johnson on
his new franchise. He refers to this not as a movie, but a franchise already.
As a franchise. Yeah. Yeah. It is a multi-purpose Christmas product. And he knew that the reviews would be terrible. And listen, we're not critics, huh? And reviews aren't everything, huh? I mean, that's something The Rock could have gleaned from us. And you know, it's something even that the icon, the legend, our box office daddy, Scott Mendelson, often talks about, is that for a certain type of movie, reviews are not going to matter unless the reviews are telling people that the thing they hope they'd get in it is not going to be there. You know, a Jurassic Park movie could get terrible reviews, a Jurassic World movie, but as long as the reviews remind people, hey, there are dinosaurs and the dinosaurs eat things, then it doesn't matter because it's giving people what they want. And I think Dwayne The Rock Johnson knew that these reviews would also tell people you're not going to get anything you want out of this bad movie. And so he knew it. He knew it, and it was a coordinated effort on a night that America would otherwise be distracted, that The Rock basically, under people's noses, behind their backs, decided to drop these bombs.
As if he wouldn't.
Would know.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't going to be brought upon the carpet.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Feel what's under your toes, you diehard ripping off jabroni. Wow, I just weaponized the term against him.
Wow.
Feel what's under your toes, because that's the carpet. You've just been called onto it.
Wow. I'm looking at, and again, we're not critics, huh? But he brought this on himself. He tried to hide these reviews, and so it falls upon us to be the ones that bring this information to the people. When The Rock is trying to spread disinformation, trying to say that Red One is good, we will bring information to the people. So I'm just looking at some of these reviews on the Rotten Tomatoes page for Red One. So just some quick sound bites I'll pull out from reviews. This feels engineered in a lab to provide seasonal spectacle. Let's see here. There's not a whiff of mirth from the screenplay to the production level. That's from another review. This is the type of review that really tells people not to go. If Red One were a disaster, it'd be more interesting. Instead, it's a technically passable action comedy, transparently stitched together from parts scavenged from other movies. This is it. I mean, Owen Gleiberman, you know, long-time EW readers, of course, remember it's Lisa Schwartzbaum and it's Owen Gleiberman. Those are the big two from 90s EW. Owen Gleiberman says, Red One could almost be the movie version of Vampire Assassin 4. I don't know what that movie is, but there you go. It's that
probably wasn't theatrical.
It's that busy and bumptious, that overstuffed with cheesy digital effects, generically derivative, a piece of violent kitsch. Man. And then
we've got
one more quick one just here. This commercial and formulaic slice of content is a toy destined to be forgotten by mid-November. Wow.
Wowie, wow. So I have one final one, which was something that we opened the mailbag last week. Was it earlier this week?
Yeah, earlier this week.
The time just doesn't have meaning at the moment, but it was engorged, so we had to lance it. And one of our great wannabe boys mentioned they didn't know who this was for. And that is echoed in this review by Ian Sandwell from Digital Spy. You're left with an overwhelming confusion over who Red One is actually aimed at.
Yep.
And I think that is one of the many problems with this. I mean, I don't think you can point to one problem with this film, but that is the main problem when it comes to people actually wanting to see it and the marketing of it.
Yeah.
So this is all very damning. And you know, it's one of those things where you can hear 35% and you can hear that people don't like it. But when you actually get the explanation, these actual critics,
Right.
saying these words about this movie, it hits a little bit harder.
Yes. Yes. And again, this is not something we do on the BO Boys. We're not one of those shows that let's make fun of a bad movie. We're
No.
not that. We're not and we're not critics, huh?
Huh.
I mean, that'll be on a shirt someday, and that shirt will sell like hotcakes at
Mhm.
Kmart.
Mhm.
But this is something we had to do because The Rock forced our hand. Because he tried to hide these reviews, he tried to sneak these reviews into the darkness. We had to be that light in the darkness.
Mhm.
And the BO Boys, it's a heavy burden to bear, but we had to bear it tonight. So that is why we read these snippets of the reviews that Dwayne The Rock Johnson tried to hide. So,
Mhm.
Clayton, we'll be talking a lot about Red One next week because it comes out on Friday, November 15th. And then, of course, Saturday, November 16th at the Comedy Studio in Boston. We'll be on stage with KIRK MINIHANE. Having seen this movie, we will have seen the movie by the time the live show, by the time we hit that stage, and we will be really dissecting this movie on stage.
We're seeing it in Beantown.
Yep.
Already have our tickets.
Mm-hmm.
Still empty? Have you looked?
I haven't checked. I will check before the next episode. I will give it a check. I haven't looked
Uh,
recently, but last time I looked, it had been empty besides
yeah.
us. It was still a private screening.
Yes. Um,
So, yeah, we'll talk a lot of Red One. And, of course, it'll be one of the movies we talk about at the live show November 16th in Boston. So, more to come on Red One, but we had to do what we just did. There was no other choice. So, Clayton, let's talk about this weekend because I'm counting 4 wide releases
okay.
this weekend. Though I guess there is a big one. I mean, do you want to start with what we both think is the big one?
That's okay. Well, the one that people actually think could unseat Venom, which is holding. Venom is holding very well, even in the
Venom is
weeks,
holding. Yeah,
in
the
the
day by
day,
day
the,
is
the day by
everything.
days.
Yeah.
Uh, I think you're talking Heretic.
Okay. I had a different one, but let's talk Heretic then.
No, let's talk yours.
All right, so the one that I thought could be the big one in that maybe it breaks the multi-month losing streak for Lionsgate. Is this the best Christmas pageant ever? Have you watched this trailer yet, Clayton? I've seen this a few times. I gave myself a fresh rewatch before we got on air. Have you seen the trailer for the best Christmas pageant ever?
No, I'm conscientiously objecting,
Okay.
which is my right. I
Okay.
don't do it a lot, but I'm doing it because of Peter Holmes.
Okay.
I
So
just can't look at him.
let's start there.
Yeah.
And we have on this show talked about noxious screen presences
Mm-hmm.
that have existed over the years. Of course, there was Tim Dillon in Joker
Yeah.
Folly You Do Do.
Mm-hmm.
Many reasons why that movie failed, but we do think that his noxious screen presence was worth several unbought millions of dollars of tickets.
Yeah.
I think we both agree the latest and possibly greatest noxious screen presence to hit the screen in a long time is going to be this Peter Holmes in the best Christmas pageant ever.
Yeah.
But do you think that he is the kind of noxious screen presence that this audience won't want? Because that's the thing. I do wonder if he is a noxious presence that maybe has found the audience he was always meant for.
I
This
mean,
is a religious film, sort of.
yep.
I mean, it definitely is a religious film, but it's a
It's
religious film that is
faith-based.
It's faith-based. It's faith-based, and it's a faith-based film that I think is really trying to present itself as irreverent, and that is kind of the whole comedic bag of this noxious presence. Peter Holmes is faith-based, but seeming irreverent,
Well, talking about Ram Dass, I mean, let's just be honest. When you talk
and also talking about Ram
when
Dass.
you
Yes,
talk
he needs.
about him being faith-based, he read one book
Yeah.
and doesn't stop talking about it, which I guess that's really, I mean, that's all religions, I guess.
Is reading one book and talking about it for the rest of your life. That is
I guess that is. So I guess that's what religion and spirituality is. So I don't know why I'm knocking him for that, but
right.
it just feels
Right. For some people, it's the Bible. Some people, it's Ram Dass. Some people, it's a Confederacy of Dunces. You pick one book, and that is the only thing you ever talk about.
I
And,
think the difference is that I have owned that book in the past, and it's basically a picture book. So that's why I think I'm a little bit less. I find him to be less serious than other religions because some of those are really thick, and the print is very small.
yes. So, do you think that Pete Holmes talks about Ram Dass in the best Christmas pageant ever? Do you feel like that maybe was in his contract, or did he have enough leverage to force Lionsgate to let him talk about that he read that one book that one time in the actual movie? The way he
No,
does
I
on
mean,
his podcast, which still exists.
there's a lot of ghost
No
ship
way to know.
podcasts that still exist.
Yeah,
You know, I'm sure he just had Kristen Bell on.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure if we looked at the feed, it'd be like Kristen Bell returns.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was the episode for the year. Was Kristen Bell returns to talk about Ram Dass.
Yeah.
And what is it? What is that? When you could force yourself to sleepwalk or to have dreams where you
Lucid dreaming.
Lucid dreaming, of course. I do think he will talk for at least 8 minutes in the best Christmas pageant ever about lucid dreaming. I do think Peter Holmes made sure that got snuck into this movie.
It's very possible. It's very possible. But from what I'm hearing about this movie, I think you were touching upon it, is that it's faith-based, but it doesn't hit you over the head with it.
Uh-huh.
So it's sort of like how Jerry Seinfeld's wife put out that cookbook where you puree broccoli and put them in a cookie and put it in a cookie, you know?
Okay.
That's what they're trying to do.
Right.
But I do think, listen, this is a church bus movie that could actually appeal to people that don't go to church. Like,
yes.
It seems like it's funnier than your normal faith-based movie.
It's got, I mean, just in the trailer, and she's never obviously been a movie star, never really even been what you could say is a TV star, in the sense that none of her shows have become a huge long-running hit. But Judy Greer, the comedic character actress Judy Greer, is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this trailer, and I think her presence in this trailer gives you that sense that this could be funny. I mean, we're not critics, huh? I'm not thinking that this is going to be, Wayne's World 2 here, but she does do a good job in the trailer of giving you that feeling of this is a real movie, mainstream comedy.
Oh,
family
Judy
comedy, obviously, but she does some good work in this trailer.
Oh, while Judy Greer has never been a star, she has always been an entertainment value add, not a financial value add. But I don't think there's ever been a time when she's come on screen and I've said, "Ugh, I'm upset Judy Greer is in this." I'll be like, Judy Greer is in this?
Yeah.
It's that reaction, and I would suppose that most people feel that way, or at least neutral, or at least recognize her. So I do think that is a face that you'd be like, oh, okay, this is bringing some reputability to this.
Right. Now, will her welcome presence be able to offset the noxious presence of Peter Holmes when he's going on and on about lucid dreaming. I
No,
don't know.
no,
That I don't know,
I don't think so.
um, but we're talking about its expected box office and whether it will pull in that audience. And I don't think the audience is going after is aware enough of Peter Holmes, his noxious presence, his attempts at comedy,
His failed late
podcast,
night show,
there's no way they know about the failed late
his
night show.
failed sitcom on CBS is probably where they know him.
I thought you were going to say his failed HBO show. They don't know about the failed late night show. They probably don't know about the failed attempt at a dramedy on HBO.
Oh, you mean Crashing, where he played a 45-year-old open micer and everybody treated it like it was normal?
Yes, I
Okay.
don't think they know about that, which is good for this movie because I do think that would be damning if the church bus audience knew that at one point he played a 45-year-old open micer and everyone had to treat it as normal. That would be damning, but I don't think they know that is out there. You're right. They might know about his sitcom, which was about like a bowler or a
Yes,
shoe
it was
salesman.
about professional bowling.
It was about bowling. Okay. So they may know him from that, but I do think that his noxious presence is not known enough by the church bus audience to be a detriment. I think in the trailer he will appear as goofy guy who probably is religious, and that will be a net positive. And by the time he starts going on about lucid dreaming, they've already bought their ticket and they're stuck. So do you think this has a chance to be any kind of faith-based breakout? Now, we haven't mentioned the name of the director, Dallas Jenkins. He is the filmmaker, creative force, creator of The Chosen, which is a Christian TV show.
All right.
But it is a Christian TV show that airs and has made plenty of money with theatrical movie theater releases. So that is the reason why I could see this catching on and overperforming, because this is not a TV director like the guy who did Fly Me to the Moon. This is a TV director whose TV episodes have made box office money. So this guy knows how to get his audience to buy movie tickets. And so that is why I am possibly a little higher on this movie than the other one we're going to talk about, which you think could be the bigger one. I think this could overperform. I think we've got a real movie-savvy creative force here who is going for the gold. He's going for the box office dollars.
But Pat, I ask you, why so early with Christmas? I mean, it's not even Thanksgiving yet. Is it just the fact that it's a crowded holiday season? Are they steering clear of Wicked?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, you
this
gotta.
Is the opening. This is the opening.
I guess you're steering clear of Gladiator 2, Wicked, Moana 2.
Right.
I mean, if you can have this dead time, which it is dead, because Red One is going to be dead. Yeah. And people are going to say better dead than Red One.
Yes.
And so, I mean, that could be Anthony D'Alessandro's headlines. We're coming up with so many good ones for them, but I do think that they'll nail it. They'll use their best one, but
it will be a must-read headline when it comes.
It always is. Sure. You got to read the headline first, and then you read the article.
Yeah, that's how we do it.
Yeah, and so I agree. I was sort of asking that question as a conversation, continuer. Yeah, and that's what you do in a podcast is you ask questions you already know the answer to. Just giving you a little behind the scenes as to how skillful, the skill it takes to be a podcaster.
Well, it's the way that Peter Holmes would ask Kristen Bell on her 4th return appearance, how much do you love lucid dreaming? Yeah. So
does he enjoy burritos? Is that the one? Is he enjoy your burrito?
I think he has some kind of burrito connection.
Okay.
As a sign off. I don't know if he's the only one.
Okay.
but he's in that universe of burrito-based sign-offs for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that this is kind of the perfect time to release a Christmas movie. The day after Halloween, it's Christmas time. Obviously, this year there's something else post Halloween that The Rock was able to hide or attempt to hide his reviews behind, and then I think right after that you're in the Christmas season. Thanksgiving
Mm-hmm.
is part of Christmas. It just is.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving is the ALCS NLCS ahead of the World Series.
Yeah.
It is not its own thing. It is absolutely not its own thing.
No.
So we are in Christmas movie season today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Today.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, I mean, you're really convincing me here with the director. I do think that gives
Mm-hmm.
me so much more confidence that there is a creative vision behind this in a way that, somebody who's made Bafa Bobo.
Yep. And I think the issue here, and we'll talk about it when we get the results next Monday, is Lionsgate a studio that right now is capable of promoting releasing a hit?
Mm-hmm.
I think that is the cross to bear for the best Christmas pageant ever, is the fact that it's a Lionsgate release. Right
That,
now, Lionsgate has obviously had its day and can do good work, but they're in a rough patch right now.
yeah, that does give me pause. That
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the creatives behind this movie were sort of watching this Lionsgate string and being like, "Oh, this is going to really affect our movie just because people don't trust the quality of a Lionsgate movie if it's not John Wick related."
Right, right, right. So I think that'll be the question: is has Lionsgate been doing a good enough job getting people to know about it, getting people to trust that this will be a quality production? But they say from the creator of The Chosen very early and in large font in the trailer, and that's probably the most important thing about this movie. I think and it's based on a book that apparently was popular. So there's a lot of factors here, but let's talk about the movie that you wanted to go to first, which you're higher on. Tell us about why you wanted to start the preview with Heretic.
Just because, I mean, I think this is A24.
Mm-hmm.
It is Hugh Grant,
Yes.
and I think it feels very of the moment
Mm-hmm.
and great trailer. There are
Yeah. Great trailer.
going to be showings of this from what I hear. There already has been. I don't know how many there's going to be, but there's a smell-o-vision aspect to this
Really?
because apparently there's a candle involved. If you've seen the trailer,
Yeah.
what's going on with that candle, and you can smell the candle, my friend. That's what I've heard.
How are they giving out scratch and sniff cards?
I
Is that
think
what's
it's
happening
piped
here?
in. It's piped in.
Oh wow.
It's piped in.
It's
I'll
piped
give
in to
yeah.
select theaters, or is this everywhere? This is the first I'm hearing that there's piped in smells, and this is very exciting.
Um yeah, there is piped in smells,
Wow.
and this is something that has happened before in other places that I have worked.
Okay.
I worked at a place where, big reveal, here we go, back again,
Mm-hmm.
um, where they, during the Christmas season, had a mechanism that piped in the smell of pine.
Wow. Okay.
And
Were
it
you
gave
in charge of the
several,
mechanism? Were you in charge of
I
the
was not in
mechanism?
charge of the mechanism, but I'll tell you
Okay.
what, several of my coworkers were getting nosebleeds from this mechanism. And so we took it upon ourselves to find this mechanism
Right.
and deactivate this mechanism.
by brute force.
We unplugged it. We got a ladder and
Okay.
unplugged it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this
You just
wasn't a
climbed up a ladder and
sledgehammer
unplugged it.
situation.
No,
Okay.
no.
Got it.
But
Got
I'm
it.
assuming that's a similar mechanism that they're going to use for the theaters.
I'm looking at this now, an article about the smell mechanism for heretic, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be heretic will make movie theaters smell like blueberry pie during one
Mm-hmm.
pivotal scene. So is it a candle that's supposed to smell like blueberry pie, or I guess he does put out a blueberry pie, but either way, that will be the smell. Yes. Assures them that his wife is making a blueberry pie in the kitchen. As the missionaries discuss the importance of religious mystery, he goes in the kitchen to check on the pie. And then the young women spot a blueberry pie scented candle on the table, leading them to the horrifying realization that there is no pie. Wow.
Yeah.
This immediately adds something to me. Tickets to the multi-sensory screenings at Alamo Drafthouse. So this is all other events. So this is an Alamo Drafthouse specific smell-based experience.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. I love this.
I mean, living up to their name, a draft.
Yeah.
The wind. I mean, I guess a draft doesn't have to have a smell, but most drafts in New York City have a smell.
Yes. Yeah, that might be a New York specific phenomenon that any draft comes with a smell. I do immediately wish they had been able to work this out, like with AMC's and Regals. Maybe they just don't have that technology in place.
Yeah.
Aroma will be activated at Alamo Theaters via Joya Studios' atomization technology. Employs cold air diffusion to disperse scented molecules as fine dry air without the use of heat, water, or alcohol. Joya previously teamed with A24 to create candles based on the butt plug trophy in Everything Everywhere All at Once. Wow, under discussed aspect of possibly the reason that won Best Picture, that it had smell-based technology. So this is interesting. I haven't heard this. Obviously, Alamo Drafthouse is a small chain of theaters.
Yes. But
it's the type of thing that gets people talking. When you get people sniffing, you get people talking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So but we can't discount, and we'll get to our top fives. I mean, Venom is strong. So I don't know if either of these that we've mentioned have what it takes to take down Venom.
Yeah. So you think, I mean, the thing about Heretic, and I did see this trailer, Hugh Grant, he gives these missionaries a choice, go through one of these two doors, and then horror stuff happens. The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, I feel like, is opening at the perfect time, holiday season. Is Heretic a few weeks late for, and obviously horror is year round, but there is something about once October's over, do you want to immediately then have an early November new horror movie?
It is interesting. It does feel like I just got, like, we just got out of that season, right?
Right.
And now you're in the monstrosity that is Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's.
Yeah.
So I do think the thing that makes me lean now towards Christmas pageant is because I do think after, this, people are going to maybe want to escape. Heretic can be escapism because horror movies are escapism.
Right.
But there's such a light touch to the pageant that might draw people this weekend,
As a as a wise man once said, this is the weekend for it. And I do think when it comes to the Best Christmas Pageant Ever, this is the weekend for it. Heretic, a month ago was the weekend for it, possibly.
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah. I mean, I
You know,
think
and
maybe it wanted
October
to.
felt like it was going to be more crowded than it was because you think Joker, Folly You Do Do, and you know you think Venom would be stronger. And in retrospect, Heretic in October probably could have done some business, and it might listen. It might do well this weekend. I do think. I mean, what's your big picture thoughts on this? Do you think that is this the weekend for it?
I I mean, it's an empty. I mean, I think one of the reasons it's an empty weekend, and
Mm-hmm.
it was pretty crowded with Joker, Smile 2, and Terrifier 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I do
True.
think there was some fear there that all the oxygen would be sucked up by those movies, and we know candles need oxygen to burn. So Heretic was probably like, got to keep this candle away. And but I am feeling that like what you're saying that it's not the week for it.
It's not the week for it. Yeah.
I think this will do Buffalo Streamo, obviously, but we're not the Streamo boys, and I don't think that it's going to be a breakout.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm excited to see what it does. And I think Hugh Grant's in a great spot. He's almost in a Michael Keaton spot, not at that level because he doesn't have a Batman or a Beetlejuice, obviously. But I think Hugh Grant will always be around and will always be someone people want in movies.
Yes.
And there's not going to be a time when Hugh Grant is done.
No, no. I think the Paddington movie really brought him back in a
Yeah,
way. As much as those Guy Ritchie movies don't do great at the box office, he's in them and he's
yeah.
fun. So like he is a reliable screen presence. He will not be a leading man anymore, but like you said, he's one of those guys. He's going to be like Michael Keaton. He's more probably akin to a Bacon
I think he's bigger
because
than Bacon. I mean, Hugh Grant was just the Oompa Loompa in Wonka. You know, Hugh Grant figures out how to get himself in bigger things, and I think it
but
could
I
be
mean
Bacon.
I think Kevin I mean
Bacon can't play an Oompa Loompa. You know, Bacon. I don't think Bacon has the ability to be that beloved. People like Bacon, but people like him on a Showtime, 6 episode drama
oh,
series.
I don't know. I think this is a guy who did remember that video where you said go to the theater, enjoy the theater. I mean,
Oh, great
right?
man.
He's a great man, advocate for the theatrical. You're right. Hugh Grant probably is hotter now, but
Yeah.
do not sleep on Kevin Bacon. He could play he could have a part next year where people are saying Bacon's back, baby,
Yeah,
and
but
we'll be
back to
like he
what?
never went away.
Yeah. But I do think Hugh Grant, especially in this role, is going to be a hook, but it just might not be the right time for it. It just
Hmm.
might not be the right time for it. So, a couple other movies coming out this weekend listed as wide release, but how wide will these be? Who knows? There's a movie called Elevation from Vertical Entertainment starring Anthony Mackie. Have you watched the trailer for Elevation starring Anthony Mackie?
Nope.
So I watched this trailer. Um, Listen, it's from Vertical Entertainment, so you know you know you know where this is going, and it
It ain't
is
going. It ain't going that way.
it ain't go Vertical Entertainment movies. They're vertical, but they go they go a certain direction.
Hmm.
Um, it is about, from what I could tell from the trailer, post-apocalyptic. There are monsters, and the only way humanity avoids the monsters is they have to stay above like 9,000 feet, and then anytime they're at a sea level elevation below 9,000 feet, they're susceptible to the monsters grabbing them. Um, it, in the trailer, it said it's from, I guess, like producers of A Quiet Place.
I was just gonna say, it
Yeah,
sounds like somebody who thought they could write Quiet Place,
yeah,
like a Quiet Place type movie, and they did. I mean, they wrote it and it got
yeah.
made, which is a lot more you could say for most screenwriters.
It's right, right. Yeah, listen, screenwriting is a job. whether you make money at it or not.
Mm-hmm.
That's what someone has told us. So
Yeah.
the hook of this, I don't think, is as strong or as catchy as A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place is be quiet or monsters will grab you.
Oh,
This one is a little more difficult to wrap your head around, which is stay above 9,000 feet above sea level, or a monster will grab you. It's not as much of an everyday concern.
Let me ask you, Pat. You're an intelligent man who went to a very good
Mm-hmm.
uh, high school,
Yes.
right? Private
Yes.
high school, correct? That's a private high school,
It
right?
was a private high school, yes, of course.
A great institution, New York University,
Yes.
NYU.
Yes.
What elevation are you at right now?
Am I at 0 feet elevation
See,
right
you don't
now?
know, and that's
I
the
don't
problem.
know. I
But
don't know.
but are you talking? Are you making noise?
I wasn't just there. I was purposely being quiet, and I understood that I was being quiet. Yes.
So that's the difference
That's
between
the
these
difference.
concepts.
Yep.
It's as simple as that.
Yep. You ask a person on the street, are you quiet? They'll know whether they are currently quiet or not. You ask them, how many feet above sea level are you? No fucking idea.
So everybody's dead.
Yeah. Everyone's dead. It takes place in the Rocky Mountains, apparently.
Okay.
So you also have to know the height above sea level of different points on a cliff that the characters are at. Speed. How fast are you going? And you know what speed has too? It's got a speedometer.
Yeah,
it's got a goddamn speedometer that constantly allows the characters to know every second. And I guess you could do that with elevation, but people know a speedometer. They know a speedometer. They don't know the device used to see how many feet you are above sea level. They just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't.
Yeah.
People drive, they got a speedometer. People aren't climbing mountains and constantly checking how highly elevated they are. They're just not.
No.
They're just not. So yeah, I think we both think this is a non-starter, so we'll see how this does. The other one that I watched a trailer for was something called Weekend in Taipei. And honestly, Taipei. Weekend in Taipei. The only reason that I even mention this movie is because it is released by the great Ketchup Entertainment. And we've advocated for them to change the name of their company.
Mm-hmm.
And the second you watch this trailer and the second that Ketchup Entertainment's logo comes on screen, you can't take it seriously as a movie from that point on. You just can't. Yeah. It doesn't matter what the movie was. If instead of Paramount Pictures, it was Ketchup Entertainment presents The Godfather, that movie is forgotten to time. Same exact movie.
You know it wouldn't exist?
What wouldn't exist?
Godfather 2 or 3.
No, would not exist. Would not exist if it was Ketchup Entertainment presents a Francis Ford Coppola film, The Godfather.
And we've said you can't name your company after a condiment. It's got to be a meal.
You can't. Well, that's the thing is Francis Ford Coppola back in 1970 when The Godfather came out never would have allowed that. He would have demanded you changing the name. It's not Ketchup Entertainment. It's Marinara Sauce Entertainment. Yeah. And then honestly, I do think then everything goes the same from that point forward for The Godfather.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But Ketchup Entertainment, I don't think Weekend in Taipei is going to catch on. It stars Luke Evans. Do you remember what? As soon as I saw the trailer, I recognized him as a person and then immediately could not think of what I've seen.
Isn't he in Horizon?
Is he in Horizon? I'm looking at his credits.
He was in Mother.
Action films, Immortals, The Raven, a 2011 Three Musketeers. And when you look at this guy's face, you know who he is. I'm sure he's been on a lot of BBC shows. He was in Peter Jackson's 3-part The Hobbit. I've never seen any of those films. Obviously know that they were all huge hits. And he played Dracula in Dracula Untold. That is, and then he played Gaston in the live action Beauty and the Beast. Okay, so those are the two big ones. So he is a
Oh,
person who's been in big movies.
was he Jigsaw in Punisher Warzone?
Very possible. I'm looking, but yeah, I think Gaston is going to be the one that allows him to make Ketchup Entertainment films for the rest of his life. So he's in Fast and Furious 6. Owen Shaw, so he must play Jason
He
Statham's
plays
brother.
brother. Yeah.
Plays the brother. Okay, so this is one of those people who, when you look at the credits, you're immediately like, oh yes, I've seen him in 10 of these movies. And if I remember,
Oh, he was
honestly,
in
yeah.
Midway.
So and he is fine in those. He was a fine Gaston in the live action Beauty and the Beast. I'm sure when we watched his Fast and Furious and he had scenes with Jason Statham, we probably enjoy those. You know, so this is a thing you get to do when you're in that level of stardom, when you are in these big movies, but no one looks at you as the star of those movies. You then get to be the star of a super low budget action movie for Ketchup Entertainment.
I'm sorry, he's not in Horizon. Obviously, we said that, but I wasn't thinking he was Luke Wilson. I was thinking he was the other guy that falls in love with the woman whose husband dies. And I am trying to picture his face, and now the only face I can see is Luke Evans.
Okay.
Do
It's
you know who I'm
not Luke
talking
Evans.
about?
I know who you're talking
Yeah.
about, but I'm not going to be able to recall. He was also in Murder Mystery, playing a character named Charles Cavendish. He was
Streamo.
in Scrooge: A Christmas Card as Ebenezer Scrooge. And apparently that's animated, Disney's Pinocchio. So the guy works. He'll get to make a lot of low-budget actioners in the future. God bless. This is not going to be anything that catches on, I think we can say.
Yeah.
So shall we get into our top 5 predictions?
Let's do it, my friend. Let's do it.
Would you like to go first or second with your top 5 predictions?
I'll be bold. I think who said that it's better to live one day as a lion than your whole life as a lamb?
You know what? I don't know who said that. Shakespeare? Possibly?
Someone said that. Someone said that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be a lion today.
Okay.
And I'm going to go first. And I'm going to say Venom: The Last Dance retains its title. I do think it drops another 50% probably. So I think it's going to be around let's see, what would that be? It would be around 13
million. Yeah.
13 million. Number 2, I think is going to be Christmas Pageant.
Wow. Okay.
And then I think number 3 will be Heretic.
Okay.
And then I think number 4 is going to be a Wild Robot. And then I think number 5 will be... Do we have any other newbies that we talked about? No, just
the Luke Evans movie and the Anthony Mackie Elevation movie.
Then, I think it's going to be Conclave.
I love it. That's where I was going for my 5. So my number 1, I'm going, despite the noxious presence, I think number 1 is going to be a big overperformer. Best Christmas pageant ever. Lionsgate, out to mud, back in the limelight. A number 1 movie for Lionsgate.
Out the mud.
Yeah. This is going to be big one for Judy Greer. And we didn't even say her name in the preview. Gilmore Girl herself, Lauren Graham, is in this movie.
There we go.
And she's got a history with Christmas movies. She is
Bad Santa,
the co-lead of Bad Santa. So I think this is number 1. I think this does 14 million, big overperformer. Number 2 is going to be Venom, around 12. Number 3 is Heretic. And then I think here's where I'm going even bigger. I think number 4 is Conclave, and then number 5 is Wild Robot.
All
Um,
right.
I think the thing with Wild Robot is we've talked a lot about how it makes money off of teenagers who want to see Terrifier, so they buy a Wild Robot ticket. I do think post Halloween, the Terrifier, even though it is a Christmas movie, I do think the business is going to start going down, and
Okay.
so therefore the business for Wild Robot may go down. So I'm going Conclave 4, Wild Robot 5. I do think there's something about this Conclave, and
It's
man, that
hitting.
is a it's hitting, and it also this gives us a real religious top 5 if it includes the best Christmas pageant ever and Heretic, which does have religious overtones, undertones, side
And
tones to it,
and
and
Conclave.
Conclave, and
Wow.
Venom. Let's just say it, and Venom.
So
You could find your belief system in that.
I love this.
Mm-hmm.
That if Wild Robot drops
Mm-hmm.
like a rusty tin can,
Mm-hmm.
we will know. And I said definitively last week that we definitively know the symbiotic relationship, the one-way symbiotic relationship
Yep.
between Terrifier 3 and Wild Robot.
Yep.
If this thing drops precipitously, I mean, I do think that that is even more definitive proof. Like we
Yes.
already have definitive proof, but it
Yep.
would be ironclad. It would be
Yes.
unimpeachable. Anybody who would say there's not a connection would be uh, jeered and chastised and tomatoes thrown at them and all the things you do to those sort of people in the public square.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
what will happen.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. So that is a huge thing to look out for, and we will talk about that on our weekend results episode on Sunday night or Monday morning. So look out for that. So a lot of stories happening this weekend that we will cover on the next episode. Very exciting. So of course, everyone, email us at the BO Boys Podcast, the BO Boys Podcast at gmail.com. We actually got a couple of emails that let's just take a look because they're very timely, Clayton. We'll dip into the mailbag. We don't want it to get engorged again, because then we got to lance it and it's a mess. So let's
Yeah.
read a couple of emails before the mailbag gets engorged. So we got an email from Aaron M. in Aurora, Illinois. I mean, Clayton,
Yeah.
of
I mean,
course,
of course, the home of
Wayne Campbell.
Wayne
Yeah,
Campbell.
yeah.
Yes.
So very exciting. We get to read this email from Aurora, Illinois. Subject: trio of movies in NYC during marathon weekend. Hey guys. Hey guys.
Hey guys.
I just came back from New York to run the New York City Marathon, and somehow I managed to sneak in a trio of movies that made me feel like the famed Coastal Elite. My first AMC Prime experience was for Nora. I knew the New York crowd was my people, and they cheered for Nicole Kidman. The second film, A Real Pain, featured an in-person Q&A with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin, experience that's even rare here in Chicago. Finally, the Monday after the marathon, even though I was sore and hobbling from the one train to the R train, I hobbled over to AMC Lincoln Square, luggage in tow, to catch juror number 2 at a mostly crowded theater on a Monday morning. It's a shame the morons in at WB can't get their act together, as the ending of juror number 2 did what a good movie should: spark conversation, discussion, spreading the word of the film to friends, release juror number 2 to the masses, and not just the coastal elites. Aaron M. from Aurora, Illinois. Wow, I love that email from Aaron. He's visiting from one of the great fictional, well, real movie town, but setting of one of the great movies of all time.
Yes.
And that is such a New York weekend that he describes. I mean,
And
he should have thrown in eating a bagel in there somewhere, or having a street dog,
mhm.
or a slice that he eats over a garbage pail on the sidewalk.
Chopped
You know,
cheese.
yep, Yeah.
Uh,
He should have mentioned that when I was running, I also almost got run over by a taxi cab.
While reading the New
But
York Post, I do
yes.
think that, man, again, yeah, I mean, unimpeachable email, great email.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that this gentleman ran what 26.2 miles
Yeah.
and then did 3 movies.
Yep.
I mean, taking your suitcase to
Mm-hmm.
juror number 2
Wow.
is a national hero we're talking about here.
Yes. 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 This is great. This is so inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
And it just shows that the audience that the BO Boys have, they are running marathons and doing movie marathons all in the
Yeah.
same weekend.
Yeah.
And not just seeing anything. He went out there and he saw an advanced screening with a Q&A of A Real Pain,
Yeah.
and saw it in New York. It is living the dream. It is what everyone should aspire to. And thank you, Aaron from Aurora, Illinois, for sharing that New York movie experience. Outstanding. So
Inspirational.
inspirational. And then we've got another email from one of the greats from Wannabe Boy Reed. So Reed sent us this Boots on the Ground underage horror movie. That's the subject. Reed says, "Hey guys, our 14-year-old went to see Smile 2 last weekend with her friends. She called me crying, said that they wouldn't sell her a ticket because it was rated R. I started considering a paternity test because any child in mind would know the rating and how to get into the movie." And he says, quote, this is the conversation. "Just buy a ticket to a different movie and sneak into Smile 2. The daughter says, "I can't do that, Dad. I'll get arrested and kicked out of school." Again, I question our relationship. He says, "You'll be fine." So she did it. She bought a ticket to something else and saw Smile 2. I asked if what she bought a ticket to was Wild Robot. She said no. She bought a ticket to Venom. She said it would be cringe for a teenager to buy a ticket to a cartoon, which might explain why Venom had a small drop. Love the show. Read. Very interesting. First of all,
He just throws that in at the end, though.
yeah, but it's a great story, and then it's a twist ending.
I love it.
What a parent! Any child
Father,
should be
father
so
of the year.
lucky.
Father of the
As
year.
that Father of the Year. Reed officially at the wire. We're here in the 11th month.
Mm-hmm.
He is pretty much, unless something wild happens the next month or so, Father of the Year amongst wannabe boys, wannabe girls, wannabe people.
People.
Just teaching and then demanding the greatness of his child to get themselves into this R-rated movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did it with love, did it with consideration.
Yeah.
But he let the child know this. You got to figure this out. This is an important life lesson.
So, do you think there's any truth to this, that the kids that are old enough to do PG-13 movies upgraded to Venom to get into horror movies? So is Venom also I mean, talk about symbiotic. I mean, it's about a symbiote.
Yeah.
A one-way symbiotic relationship with Terrifier 3 and Smile.
I do think it's very possible because the teenager put it very clearly. Wild Robot, getting a ticket to Wild Robot would be cringe. And that's the type of thing that makes sense. It resonates with teenagers. There's a lot of things a teenager could be, but they do not want to be cringe.
No.
And if that is true, if Wild Robot for a teenager is cringe, then it does make it impossible for them to buy those tickets. And I do think there's a lot of 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds who are getting themselves into Terrifier 3 and they're buying Wild Robot tickets.
It's the rats. I mean, the rats are scurrying through the tunnel. That's what it is.
Yeah. But the teens,
In the
they don't
tweens.
want to be cringe. The tweens, it's a toss up, but the teens cannot be cringe.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. I mean, the Venom hold, the Venom Daba days have been good. And
That's true. It's a terrible movie as well, and kids know that.
yeah, yeah. Um, my God, Art the Clown, what he's done for multiple movies at this point
Yeah.
is just to be commended. So thank you to the great Parent of the Year up to this point. Still 2 months to go. So, send us your emails if you think you could win the title Parent of the Year. theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. But right now,
Well,
Reed he's in the catbird seat to win Parent of the Year.
I mean, the cutoff is the end of the fiscal year, which is going to be around December 8th.
Okay, so you got until December 8th to
Yeah.
show us why you are the wannabe Parent of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So yeah, I think that the mailbag has been degorged enough that we can move on. So email us theboboyspodcast@gmail.com. Of course, 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media at the BO Boys Pod on Instagram and on TikTok. And I think that's it. I think it's time to move on from other platforms. We're sticking with the TikTok, sticking with the Instagram.
Yep.
So that's where you're going to get not your vertical entertainment movie releases. You're going to get your vertical videos courtesy of Wannabe VP of Interns, Christopher, killing it with the vertical videos on those platforms. Very exciting stuff there.
What a
Lots of
great
clips.
kid. What a great kid this Christopher is.
Yep. And
one of the
you know
good
what?
ones.
Killed it at the New York City live show. And he's trying to work his way to Boston, trying to work out the schedule, the classes, maybe skip a midterm, whatever. He'll figure it out, but hopefully he will be in attendance at the Boston show November 16th. But follow us on social media. Of course, watch us on YouTube. We are YouTubers. Hey guys. You got full episodes. You got the 1 hour version of the New York City live special is up there. Lots of stuff on the BO Boys YouTube network. And the Substack is going to be coming back in a huge way very soon. We get through this last leg of the tour, and then Clayton and I are picking up the pen, and we're going to go wild on that Substack. So get very excited. If you haven't subscribed now, get yourself ready for a lot coming on the Substack over the next year. That is it. That is all I got, Clayton.
Pat, you've said it all. You've said it all.
Yeah.
There's nothing left to say.
Nothing. Time for me to go.
Except for, until next time, we'll smell you at the box office.